All right, we ready?
Ready.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mobile Hunter Podcast, and today I've got my buddy Josh Luck, as always, with me. We went to ATA 2025 last week, and we're going to talk about all the cool stuff that we saw like we do every year. It's a great time to be a deer hunter and get to check out all the new toys for 2025. So without further ado, let's pour some bourbon and chat.
Yeah, so for our listeners, we're just going to kind of recap a lot of the cool stuff we saw, just like Chris said. And for anyone that's watching on the YouTube, we are trying out a different kind of video setup here. I am at Chris's house. Chris was tired of me being in a blank white room on our YouTube channel. So he suggested I come over here. Well, actually, you suggested that I actually do up a room in my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, Chris, I'm not ready for that yet.
Go build another room today.
At some point, I'll have a setup at the house. The plan is to try and get the basement at least somewhat done later this year. So the goal is to actually set up a nice little area down there for my office and to have a space where I can podcast and give reviews and all that stuff.
Awesome.
But we are currently in Chris's office. For those on YouTube, I brought my mount. This is my deer mount that is up here above us. Do not let Chris claim that, because that is not good.
I told him earlier I was going to tell everybody I killed it. That's my Kentucky public buck from 2022.
We got our portrait.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Plus.
The mic.
So that was actually an interesting story too, because Josh killed that deer on his second sit, and then what did our Ohio season open up like 10 days later? Something stupid. It wasn't long.
Yeah, because that was in the middle of September.
Yeah, and so Josh calls me to come help him track / recover, pack out this animal, and we went through hell to do so, but we did it. I think I got home at like 3:30 or something stupid, because we were singing that damn Matchbox 20 song for like 2 weeks. But and then I killed on Ohio public, and Josh had to haul his butt down into there and help me pack out a deer. And here we were again at like 2-3 in the morning packing out another buck. So it's kind of cool. It was like a bang situation. Anyway, ATA. We went to the ATA show in Indianapolis this past week, and kind of want to start with a company that did have kind of a lot of support for us last year, but to be quite frank, has done something that we have both been begging for 3 or 4 years, whatever. Josh and I are huge fans of whitetail packs, but they never come with a way to pack out an animal realistically. When you're a mile and a half, 2 miles deep, and generally it's not like, you're on a beautiful, pristine WMA with trails everywhere. You're in the middle of freaking nowhere. You never have a loadout shelf. And Tethrd came out with their all-new fast frame that you can attach your fast pack to, and then so you can haul that fast pack in just like you normally would, but you can also haul a freaking deer out in that thing. And I think, what did they say they tested that to, like 120?
It was a lot. I asked Carl, because Carl, one of the owners of Tethrd, he's the one that designed it, and he's been working on it for quite some time. And he was actually telling me the first kind of design he actually worked on a map, and I got a stitching video or something thinking about it. But he's done a lot of the testing. He's kind of the lead designer on it.
Yeah.
And when I got to asking him, he's like, I believe he said easily 80 pounds, 60, 80 pounds. He said that multiple times in there. And I want to say he's had up to 120. And it did just fine. I asked him, because I was like, what's the weight rating on this thing? Because if you look at other packs, they usually have a weight rating, like the Mr. Ranch pop-up series packs, usually have a weight rating of 80 pounds. They can definitely hold more. We've had more in them.
Way more.
But that is their weight rating. So Carl, this thing such as said, I haven't found it.
Nice.
Which was encouraging because I know those guys will put it through the rigor. And Jared had said he packed out some deer with it.
Yeah.
I know Andy May made a post that he had packed out different animals with his. So it's been put through the ringer.
That's always nice. That I know the mystery ranch that we use. I've used it to actually haul freaking corn. Anytime you're throwing bait out, and we put 250-pound bags in it when we're baiting on private or something. So that's one of the more exciting things I think that we saw. I hate to lead with one of the better ones. We probably should have built up to retain you guys, but
I think it's a good one.
Yeah,
because it's one it's a product that people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah,
especially us. We've been begging someone, like, please, someone just put in a nice frame. And there are other packs on the market that are kind of marketed saying that they can be used to pack out deer. What's the trophy line from?
Sumter.
Yeah. So we know guys that have packed out deer with it can, but it's just not like your Western frame pack.
It's not optimal because you essentially, when you get that weight out on the back of the pack, further away from your body, you're talking about it swinging. Now, there's a lot of people that are literally the toughest human beings in the world, and they could walk all day with 80 pounds in it. Congratulations. I can't do that. I don't want to do that, especially when you're talking about, like, if we went where we scouted with Jake where I killed at 8, like, when you start talking about hill country and, deadfall and different stuff like that, no thank you do I want anything to do with any kind of a pack out like that. That's a way to, like, I'm sure a doctor here could explain what you do to, like, your hips and your back and everything else. I mean, there's probably a number of injuries you could do throwing yourself off balance with 80 to 100 pounds on the very back of it. I guess it'd technically be the front of the pack, but furthest away from your body.
Yeah. Mainly, a lot of people will probably complain of back pain just because of how it's carried on the back. That's the nice thing about all those Western frame packs. You can get that heavier load roll close to the back. They have really nice lumbar support.
Yes.
And you can snug everything down and get it just right. Like the pop-up series has those extenders on it.
Yes.
Which help dissipate some of the load. And other frame packs have that as well. It carries well, and that way you can walk and move well, and it reduces, in my opinion, your risk of like injury, especially if you're a couple miles back.
Yeah, and I think that I'm like a really good example of this. I'm 40. When I was 25, injuries weren't a thing. I was never hurt, and so unless you like play basketball and sprain your ankle or something, roll your ankle or whatever. Aside from that, I didn't have like the stupid little naggy injuries for the most part. And then when I started getting into this public land stuff and all the walking, I've put on weight. I've put on plenty of age to boot. And so, one little stupid thing happens and then all of a sudden, I mean, you could be screwed back there, have to call a buddy to help you pack stuff out or whatever. Anything can happen. So you always want to try to keep from getting injured, especially when you talk about having tags for these different states and you might have a hunt coming up that's in a state that's 1,000 miles away and you might not be able to do it or be as good as you could be or whatever. So you got to be careful of that.
Mm-hmm. One last thing on that fast frame, I did ask about price point. It is fairly consumer friendly, especially when you're comparing it to other frame style packs.
Okay.
I believe, don't quote me here, but I'm very 99% sure Carl said it's probably going to be around that 225-ish range.
That's not bad.
No, not bad. Because he asked me what I thought it cost, and I think I said $299.
Okay.
And he's like, nope, he had a smile on his face, and he's like, 225.
There you go. I like that. So, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of their saw. Do you remember?
Is it the Saber?
It is.
Okay.
That's it.
I do remember.
Okay, well done. They came out with this saw. It's going to sound stupid to some people, but you can attach it to a stick in like the easiest, neatest way. It's got like these two rings that fold up off the back of the saw, and they kind of go like this, and you just run the stick through the little hole here, and it's got teeth that bite down into the stick, and you can just reach up and saw limbs, whatever you need to do. So rather than carrying a pole saw, especially for you guys that are on private land, you don't have to carry that anymore. Let's say you got a big piece of property and you can't get your UTV, e-bike, whatever. Or if you hunt, I really don't know what states allow you to saw and break limbs and, run the tree steps. But if you're in one of those states and you pack in a decent ways, man, you could trim every damn limb off a tree with that thing. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice little accessory. I believe that won first place in the new accessory category.
Nice.
Yeah.
They also came out with a grit line of packs, which is kind of neat because, again, when you talk about the mobile hunting industry, a lot of stuff is fairly expensive. There's not as much budget gear. When you thought about budget gear, it was Hawk, Temu, how you say that shit? Temu, is it like emu?
Temu wasn't a thing back then.
No, that's just recently in the last year. Or like Amazon stuff, all copycat bullshit that frankly I wouldn't trust my life to. I want to know who I need to bitch at and sue if I fall out of the damn tree. Especially due to, an actual equipment failure. So their new grit line of packs look pretty good. They came out with a new saddle called the Carnivore. I want to say, would you call that a two-panel saddle?
Yeah, that Carnivore is their new two-panel saddle.
Yeah.
And I talked to Carl about that as well, because he's not the biggest fan of two-panel saddles, and he said if they were to ever come out with one, a good quality one, they wouldn't come out with one unless they changed a lot of things.
Okay.
And he feels like he addressed a lot of the issues that he had found. It looked pretty slick. I didn't get a chance to try it on or anything like that. It does have two, I can't remember the name of those buttons in the back, where the panels clip together. Real small.
They almost looked like rivet buttons or something.
Yeah.
Weren't they magnetic?
Or it was almost like a little pull pin. It was
Okay.
very smooth, very easy to actually put the panels together, take them apart.
Okay.
Plenty of adjustability, I believe. I think it's a saddle people will like.
Okay. So that pretty much rounds things out for Tethrd. And to get
They also come with the barn.
I literally just crossed it out and then forgot to say it. What a moron. So they came out with like a really minimalistic bino harness, which is actually pretty cool, especially for those guys that don't want like a small pack on their chest, because that stuff does get fairly bulky. So kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Now we covered all the Tethrd stuff, but with all that said, doing this show, we started doing it in 2022, I want to say, together, because that was when we were leading up to our Ohio show, our second Ohio show. We went in...
You're talking about the first year we ever had a show?
No. The first year we went to ATA.
Oh, yeah.
So we did that in 2022, and it was very overwhelming. Now, it was a lot bigger then, even compared to now, just a couple years later. But it was really, really, really cool. And you can't, we're not going to have every price point. We couldn't try everything on. that's physically impossible. We would have spent all 3 days there and then probably not gotten everything accomplished we wanted to. So we just kind of wanted to hit on everything, especially since the majority of the time, a lot of these companies drop product XYZ and then they go through manufacturing, modifications happen, they don't like something, something's not working out. And then before you know it, you got something different in July or August anyway. So we wanted to try as much as we could, but just be able to give you guys a solid idea and then come back and let you know what we saw. So I'm going to let you pick the next one. I want to save this one here for last.
Okay.
The two top ones.
The one I thought about
Yeah.
talking about next. Okay. We'll save that for last. What else do you have on this list? Okay.
Let's
just cover Latitude.
Okay. Let's talk about Latitude. You lead that one off.
So Latitude also came out with a few new items. For those that I'm sure most people saw, they did also do multiple product drops actually during this season. They had a few different ones. I want to say, was one of their gear hangers one of them they did?
I feel like that was at. You're talking about the bow hanger?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was definitely at
ATA.
ATA.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a few things they came out with this past season. But at ATA this year, they also had some other new options, new items. One of them being a Ranger 33. So they have their Ranger 11 and Ranger 22. Now they have a larger pack, their Ranger 33. If anyone's used their Ranger packs, I use the Ranger 11 quite a bit this season. I'm personally a fan of smaller packs, and I utilize it the vast majority of the season. I don't switch packs until it gets pretty darn cold and I have to pack in additional clothes. But it's very whitetail friendly as far as like pocket organization and different stuff like that. I know Chris has used the 22. The 22 is a great pack as well.
I love that pack.
Corey Godar from Latitude, he really likes to run that Ranger 22 kind of stripped down. So he'll actually take off the lumbar support and then that other, what's that thing on the back?
Compression strap.
Yeah, the compression straps. So he'll take those off and he runs like a stripped down version of it and he really likes that. But they have the 33 for those that want larger packs. And then they came out with a Method 3, which I was pretty excited about. It was on their mannequin there, and I kind of missed it at first until someone had said the name Method 3. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, where is this at? Because I ran the Method 2 for a long time, and I really liked it. I like 2-panel saddles or 1-panels that are a little larger and have really nice support, just from like an ergonomic standpoint. My first saddle was the Method 2, and I went that direction because of the 2-panel and the adjustability and like the lumbar support area from basically an ergonomic standpoint. And if you look on Latitude's website right now, they actually have the Method 2s on sale. I think it's like a 30% off. My guess is to reduce inventory to get ready for these Method 3s. But they updated a few things on the Method 3. It looks like they improved the comfortability even more. One of the things I really liked was they had this like quick draw mechanism. So it's still got the magnets between the panels for those that are familiar with it. But this one they're almost like little drawstrings that come out near the bridge loops. And you can pull them and it'll compress the two together, and then the magnets kind of smack together. So you don't have to, constantly being like reach back, pull up that other panel and get it to attach to the magnets. You can just draw that string and it'll draw right up. So that was a really cool feature. And they came out with another pack. That's what I was forgetting. I was like, I know there's something else. They came out with a minimalist pack. I can't remember what they called it.
I don't know if I got to see that one.
It looks similar to Tethrd has that small pack, just for their frames. There's, I think Twisted Iron has one that looks similar to that.
Okay.
Where you can put your platform and that in there. But they came out with a pack like that, a very minimalist pack. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it right now.
What a letdown we are.
I know. I know. But that is another pack option that they came out with. And I am sure those guys are working on more things. They always seem like they have something in the works. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with more products as we got closer to the season or into this upcoming season. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
How you like the bourbon?
Oh,
pretty good.
Good. You said the name of what we're drinking, right?
I did not. That's what I was going to bring up, because generally we get generally the people that we hang around or whatever enjoy bourbon and good beer. So this is Four Roses Small Batch Select, and it's fairly good. It's a smooth bourbon. I would definitely recommend it to somebody that maybe is looking for something to kind of dip their toes in a little bit with the bourbon drinking. It's fairly smooth, doesn't bite a lot, no like burning effect or anything like that. We had the old Willet Purple Tops will clear the throat out if you got a cough, buddy. That stuff ain't. She bites.
Yep, that's a very. You just sip on that one. You don't need to pour a lot.
Small sips.
But it was good. What was I going to say about the bourbon? Four Roses is actually what I like to use. Not necessarily a small batch select, but I'll have like a small batch or a single barrel or something like that at the house typically, and then I use that if I'm making like Kentucky mules.
I was going to guess he's a mule guy.
Mm-hmm. Moscow mules, I drank those for a while for like cocktails until I got into bourbon, and then I don't know what it is. I tried a Moscow mule. What was this, last year before? And I hadn't had one in a long time. It was just the Kentucky mules, which has the bourbon.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is way different. I'm never going back to a Moscow mule ever again.
It's like drinking that damn Willet wheat.
Yeah.
You drink something else and you're like, what is this swill? Get this shit out of here. Before I forget though, if y'all don't mind, if you do have like a favorite bourbon or some kind of, good cocktail, throw it in the comments section for us and we'll pick some every once in a while and just make them up. Maybe I can convince my buddy over here to bring the stuff for some mules and we can try those out. Because I think maybe you've made them for me once, but
it's been a while ago.
That's been a while ago.
Yeah.
That was when you still lived in Kentucky.
Yeah.
In fact,
that was a while ago.
In fact, I think that might be the same night that you drank like an entire bottle of wine.
I drank a bottle and a half of wine.
A bottle and a half of wine by himself. And me and Rick left. And then we get home and Josh is talking about how he like threw up all over himself or something. And we're like, damn, buddy.
I wish I could remember off the top of my head what podcast episode that is. Because if you go back to that podcast, as we get further into the podcast, my speech is a little off, I believe, towards the end.
I'm going to do some research on that because I want to know.
That was early on. That was years ago.
Yeah, that was like when we first asked you to start being on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So I think the next thing we got to talk about is the Millennium sticks and stand.
Yeah.
Kind of knock that out a little bit. So Millennium dropped some new sticks and a stand. What is it? Their M7 that was generally their lighter one.
Yeah, most of the quote unquote mobile hunter crown gravitate towards that M7.
Yeah,
it was their lighter hang-on stand.
Yeah.
Essentially, they updated it, and I believe it's called the M8.
Yeah.
Is their new stand. I don't know.
I think it's 8.5 pounds.
Yeah, it's 8.5 pounds. It's actually it doesn't feel that heavy. We picked it up and stuff.
It's very nicely balanced.
And I'm pretty sure that guy we talked to, his name
was the guy.
Yeah. I looked at his card today and I'm like, oh, this says CEO.
We're sitting there talking to the CEO of Millennium and we're like ants to this guy.
We were criticizing his sticks.
Yeah, we pretty much destroyed everything. But the one thing that is exciting, not the one thing, because it's cool that they're making a lightweight stand, and it's a nice stand, and their seats are unrivaled. Their seats are phenomenal. But no more of that stupid ass little receiver, whatever the hell it's called, bracket. It's the dumbest thing in the world, and I've never used their stand because of that, because it's not efficient.
Yeah, it didn't have a Versa button or what most people are used to.
But now they have basically like these little hooks that come off of each side of the post, and you can run a cam buckle strap right on it. It's pretty cool. Their sticks, I didn't even look at the name. They're literally every other stick that ever came out in 2020, 2021. They're not anything special, but it is good to see them slowly gravitating towards the lighter, more mobile side of things. So, I mean, maybe, 2-3 years down the road, they'll start getting into lighter weight. I think they do a lot of cast stuff and all that, though. I believe.
I think so. Yeah, their sticks weren't necessarily anything to write home about. They're sticks that we have seen in our market for a few years.
Yeah.
It does have a nice beefy standoff. I would guess probably around that 5-inch mark as far as like standoff from the tree.
Yeah.
It does look like it would bite very well. I want to say they're just under 2 pounds a stick.
They are.
Yeah, they were just under 2 pounds a stick. I do not remember. I did not see a price point on those. But like Chris said, it is nice to see these companies. You get these big name companies that are gravitating more towards the mobile hunting side of things and the mobile hunting quote unquote industry, right? Because over the past 5-6 years, it has grown exponentially in the hunting industry. I remember we talked to was it Carl from Tethrd? It was a year or so ago. It was a couple years ago now. I was at one of the Michigan shows, and he said, all these companies will go into these market meetings and all this stuff, and they had basically said, this is going to be a large part of the industry. And I believe he said he pretty much got laughed at. At the time, it made up a very small percentage, and then by the next year or two, it was, what do you say, about 20% of the market.
It was 18% when we talked to him.
Yeah, and that was years ago. It was a couple years ago.
I think that was let's see, that would have been ATA last year, actually. So ATA of 2024 is when he told us that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll bet we're going to be approaching 30% this year.
Oh, probably pretty easy. But you can see that in the entire industry by companies like Millennium catering towards, the quote unquote mobile guy. They actually had some seats, some like tree seats. Like, the Amstel guys got the Stoll.
Oh, that's right.
The Chamic by Wildline Ropes.
Yep.
The other stuff like that. But Millennium does have just basically seats you can attach to the trees. So they had some new ones of those that look very comfortable. A little bit big or bulky if I'm like running and gunning around on public land. Maybe on private, that would be actually really nice if I was doing a ground setup. But it is nice to see these companies transitioning to that. Millennium's just one of them. Hunter Safety Systems is another one. That was one I was most excited for last year because they came out with products, a saddle, platform. They have the new slap strap. They actually debuted that at our show in Pennsylvania last year. That was the first time I believe they had rolled out those products.
Yeah.
And which was a huge honor, in my opinion.
Very big. That's a big deal that we've all used the HSS harnesses. And what was interesting, he contacted us early last year, and then we just didn't hear anything. And I was like, man, like that, we get excited when a bigger company contacts us, and the nostalgia with the Hunter Safety Systems vests, like they were innovating things way before a lot of other people were. Like they were big on that, and I loved it. And I appreciated it as a consumer, a hunter first and foremost. But then when you get into, the other side, the business side of things, you have a really deep appreciation when you see companies XYZ just never really move the needle much. And then HSS, here they come, So he ended up missing, I think they're like a Georgia company, aren't they? They're a Southern company.
Yeah.
And they missed the Southern show. And then they ended up making, they were actually able to make it to our PA show. And that was a pretty big deal. That's one of those companies, there's a lot of nostalgia there. It's kind of like those little wafers we all used to wear. I don't think they ever work. I'd still wear them because I literally live for that dirt smell, man. I would keep those in my truck. I would put them in my damn house if my wife would let me. I love that smell.
I remember my dad having those wafers and like bins of hunting gloves and stuff.
It was freaking sweet.
Yeah, but I told, was it Mike from HSS?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. For some reason, in my head, popped a different name. I was like, oh, that's not it.
Your lack of confidence scared the shit out of me. I was like, shit, is it Mike?
Anyway, when he was at our show, I was telling him how excited I was that Hunter Safety Systems was coming out a whole line for saddle hunters, because Hunter Safety Systems is a very well-known name in the hunting space, hunting industry.
Yeah.
And they are known for safety, right? Hunter Safety Systems.
Yeah.
So, and I was telling them, like, this is great to see, because what this does, at least from my standpoint, is it shows people, or shows hunters that aren't necessarily familiar with saddle hunting, mobile hunting, stuff like that, or hunters that just think it's a fad. It shows them that, oh, this is something that is safe. This is something that these other larger companies are doing, and it just piques more interest. And it also piques the other interest of these other large companies like Millennium,
Yeah,
and some of these other ones that are like, oh, they're moving this direction. Maybe we should also start making these products.
absolutely. And I think that helps a lot with like the trust. I think a lot of people don't understand that incorporating a saddle even into stand hunting automatically makes things safer, in my opinion, because you can fall and recover easy, in my opinion, and you also have less chances of falling, because let's face it, you can tend those ropes super easy. You can run a lineman's rope and a tether. You can do, a tether and then use another tether to get around branches and always be connected. So it's really, really nice. And the one downfall that the Hunter Safety Systems vests always had, in my opinion, was the loops were never in a really easy position to clip your your lineman's belt into with the carabiner. And so having those big ass oversized loops on your saddle, boom. I mean, anybody who's used one knows exactly what I'm talking about. You could do it with your eyes closed in the dark upside down and clip it into that damn loop. Like, it's super simple.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really, really, really exciting. I think it only fair to not make me wait to talk about my new favorite turkey hunting skill.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Because I've been fighting talking about turkeys, if I'm being honest, for about 2 months now. And I'm getting sick of this deer season. And it's starting to piss me off a little bit. And so trying not to ditch it, because we got a couple weeks left here in Ohio. But we stopped by the hawk booth. A buddy of ours, Cameron Durr, is one of the, I believe he's a marketing director over there. He's working with Hawk, and he originally showed us a set of binos that had a built-in rangefinder, and I thought it was the coolest thing, and it really wasn't any, like, you'd think it'd be crazy expensive. And don't get me wrong, you're not like, throwing a 20 at them and walking out with them, but I think they were $8.99, I believe.
Yeah, they were around that 900 mark,
And
which is way cheaper than other ones I've seen.
not only that, but when you think about buying like a pretty high quality rangefinder and then a high quality set of binos, you're, I mean, you should be in for $1,000 or so, $800 to $1,000 more than likely. Not everybody has to do that. Not everybody needs to. These are pieces of gear that help you a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one thing that I was excited about with the binos, and we talked about this with them, everybody gets super focused on a set of 12 by 50, 10 by 50, the crazy zoom. But these were 8 by 42s, and you talk about clarity. And I think people don't understand. And when you start filming, you have to learn. The more you zoom in, the less light you will generally have. So, with that being said, the 8 power binos are phenomenal for when you're hunting in the woods for whitetails and you're sitting there. Let's say you go up the back side of a tree and you're waiting on him to stand up, get out of his bed, and drop down. Well, you can be scanning with those binos and they're collecting a bunch of light and you can catch movement that way rather than him popping out at 70 yards or 60 yards or whatever out of cover, and then all of a sudden you're having to scramble. You can catch movement and have your bow in your hand. If you're a filmer, have your camera pointed, turned on. So they really help a lot. And one thing that I think people don't really utilize them for enough is shed hunting. Collecting light, low light. You get a good overcast rainy day, and you go out there and you look for them glimmering little tines and the beams and all that. That would help tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Binos are something I never carry around that often until I guess the past 2 or 3 seasons, especially scouting more. Now I don't. Now I get angry at myself if I forget them when I'm out scouting.
Yeah.
Because I use them all the time to look in trees.
Yep.
I'm like I think that's this. Oh, I think that's a white oak or red oak off over on the ridge. Like throw the binos up. Like okay, yeah, the bark looks right, leaves look right. Or then when you get to the tree, right, you're looking at like okay, is it holding acorns and sometimes you need
right.
classing up. So now I take them all the time scouting. But that the price point you had mentioned was one of the reasons Cameron wanted to show us, because a lot of the ones you see out there that are combined binos and rangefinders are 1,500.
Crazy.
Man, they're a lot.
Yeah.
They're quite a bit. But he showed us that one because it's more. It's still a lot, but it is more consumer friendly.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
The $2,000 for like that better be a hell of a set of binos. I better be able to plug in ballistics. Like there better be some cool shit in those binos. The other thing, I kind of mentioned it and then dropped it and went to the binos because those are probably the bigger thing that more people are going to be excited about. But they drop. Well, they had this scope originally before this year, but it did not have this reticle. And it's called the Turkey Dot. Now that I believe the scope is called the Turkey Dot. What was the last bit of it? I can't remember exactly.
Turkey Dot. It wasn't IR, right?
No, not IR. It's something. We'll think of it. And we'll put a video up of it in here as well. But essentially, it's got like an upside down U in it.
Just a half circle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then essentially enough for the turkey's head to stick up in, and then, the bottom of his neck is going to be right at the bottom of the half of the circle, and then there's a little dot in the middle of it. You talk about sweet, and it can go, I want to say it had at least 3 settings for sure. Might have been 4 or 5 for each color, but it could do green and red, and then when you turn it off, it still has the reticle up. It's just black. It's not illuminated. And that, to me, is amazing because when you're stalking through the woods and your battery dies, you don't have it turned on because you're me and you have ADHD out the ass. You jump a bird, whatever. You walk up on a bird breeding a hen or something, pops his head up, and you can still kill him without having to even worry about hitting a button. I want to say it went from 1 to 4 magnification. We did throw a few Chris jokes out there.
It went from 1 to Lively Swagger, is what it went to. The turkeys.
He's at 87. switching to thermals. So that was a really cool scope, though. I think the options are black and full camo as well. So I think you might be able to save a few bucks, possibly, with the all black model.
Yeah, price point on that was two something.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
No. If you look at something like the Swamp Fox Kingslayer, which is what I got on my 20 gauge. Is that what you got? Yeah, you got that on that one. Right?
So what are we looking at here? Yeah, that's got the Swamp Fox. My 410 has the Swamp Fox, and then I've got the Burris Fast Fire 3 that I got from Meadow Creek.
But that one was like two something, right? 230, 250 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the Hawk Optics turkey dot scope was, I think, the same or less.
Yeah.
As what I remember.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but we'll be able to look all of this stuff up, and we can drop some links down or something for you guys if you want to be able to check them out. I think another thing to knock off the list here, speaking of sights and optics and all that, is the new driver from Excel, True Ball Excel. Absolute. I mean, I'm not going to nerd out on it too much, but I think they have. Well, I know they have the UV sight. I think it's like the UV3 or whatever the hell it was. I was really excited about that sight, and then I talked to multiple people at shops, and they weren't a big fan of it at all. So I'm really excited about the driver. I think I'm going to get it and try it out. But I have the Sword Sniper Pro on my bow, and I have yet to have a sight that I like better than that. So we'll see. But the new driver looks badass. 3-pin sight. It's got the different little metal arrows, metal sight tapes. Really nice handle up top. Really big, oversized handle to be able to change yardages easily. Super, super nice product. And I did use their AccuTouch Carbon 3 Pro in competition and found it to be really nice. So I'm really excited to check that out and see what it's like. All right, well, let's talk. You want to hit on the nested system and Buzzard Roost?
Yeah. We'll hit with the nested one first. We didn't really get a chance to stop by their booth. I was looking on the ATA's floor plan. I'm like, where is nested? Like, we looked at the new product section, and we saw their nested system, right? The pack, the pack that comes with the stand and sticks all in one system. And we're like, man, where are they on this map? And I forgot it is basically one parent company that has different, brands under it. It's Artisan, right? I believe that's how I say it. They're under Artisan. Nested is like an extension of them. But what it looked like was the nested system, but a little bit more compact. They got rid of some of the bulk, it looked like. It looked more streamlined. We didn't get to actually play with it and see if it was any lighter than what it was before, but it definitely looked like they had made changes.
Yeah.
And it just looked less bulky and more streamlined.
Looked like they got the weight closer to your back.
Yes.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice. We just hit on that a little bit. And then Buzzard Roost came out with their reloaded saddle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to try it on, but I did get to see it. Looks pretty cool. What else did we see? Did they have anything else that they dropped?
Buzzard Roost, no. There was the reloaded saddle, which there are a couple videos on YouTube and stuff about, not on our channel, but there are some people that put videos on it. I think they added some adjustability and improve some comfort. I know a lot of people really like Buzzard Roost because of the comfortability, and they made some tweaks and stuff to help improve it even more. So I was kind of bummed we didn't get to try it out. We basically talked for 2 days straight, and we're moving around quite a bit, so there wasn't a lot we got to, like, we didn't get to get on like a platform too much and actually get in saddles because we were bouncing around from booth to booth, person to person.
It's kind of funny when we got home. I was glad you said what you said. I forget, maybe it was my father-in-law or somebody that was talking to you. They were like, well, you wore out, and you're like, I'm just ready to not talk to anyone for like 2 days.
Yes.
All we did was talk the whole time to different companies, and not only about the upcoming expos and our podcast and everything, but also about obviously the things that they had going on. And you go to these shows and you literally just talk the whole time, and then you wonder why your freaking throat's raw, and you're like, what the hell? And why you're hungry, and you're like, oh, it's 6:30, we're a half hour past close, and we didn't pee or eat lunch today. Like, damn. We haven't drank water, nothing. So it gets kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. We should probably take care of ourselves a little better. All right. So the last few things we're going to talk about are pretty effing exciting in my opinion. I am going to yield because Josh is like getting like a schoolgirl over here. Why don't you go ahead and tell them about Trophy Scan?
Oh, yes. Oh. just a quick mention to you, I remembered something else we need to hit on that isn't on your list.
Okay. Our list.
Yes. But Trophy Scan, for those that don't know what Trophy Scan is, we did it for a while. Trophy Scan has actually been out for, I want to say 5 years or so.
Something like that.
It's been around for a little while. But they're based out of Texas, and I think for the longest time is that's pretty much where it was. It was just there. It is a scoring system for your bucks, but it takes a 3D scan. And how it was before, they'd have an iPad and their own software or whatever, and you take a visual of your deer, and it'll give you a score. And that stuff is actually utilized in other industries, and it can be very accurate. I'm not going to talk about what other industries it's used on because I do not know as far as all the details of that. But I know we talked to Aaron Satterfield Saddies about it, and he's like, I don't understand why people don't do this. And then we happened to stumble upon Trophy Scan. But they would, their whole system was like, now they're moving to something new, and I'm going to get to that. But before, like shops and stuff could actually buy their system. It would come with like an iPad, the software, and everything. It was expensive. It was like $5,000 because I was looking at it. But it allowed people to digitally score the bucks, and they are recognized by, I believe, all the major scoring systems. So like Boone and Crockett, I think Safari Club recognizes them.
Yeah.
Hope and Young, I believe. And I believe he said it is within a 1% error margin.
Mm-hmm. Which is closer than human beings, right?
Yeah, I think humans have like a 3% error, something like that. Very, very accurate. But they came out with a mobile app that hasn't dropped yet. I want to say it drops in February, but they were at the show. We got talking with them, and I was super excited about that. It is going to be a subscription base. I think these prices could change depending on when they come out, and then obviously we're still working on some things. But I want to say it was I can't remember the gentleman's name we talked to. Craig, I think, was the CEO.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the younger guy's name. I'll think of it later.
Yeah.
But I believe he said it was like $9.99 a month or like $99 for the year.
Yeah.
And you could basically just take an image, like whip out your phone on the app, get the camera out, go around your buck, and it'll give you the scores. It'll actually put it on a scoring sheet and everything, give you your score, and you can like keep it. You get to keep the image of your buck. I think you can actually use that for like 3D printed scans and stuff like that, for 3D printed stuff. Which reminds me, we need to talk to some of the 3D printing guys we know and see if they'll take that. I wonder if that would knock off price.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to talk to you know what I'm thinking of. Anyway, but I was very excited for that app. I think it's something cool. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like some of the scoring systems or have issues with them. And this is just a very nice and convenient method, just to do it yourself. And you can check yourself too, right? Like I usually don't take my deer to anyone, not so much because there's no one like super close to us, but I'll like hand tape it, and I usually get pretty close. But it'll be nice to have something to double check. for those that are listening, Chris is pointing to himself. But it'd be nice to have a system where you can like double check yourself and actually keep track of it and put it on a scoring sheet you want. Wonder if they'll get recognized by Buckmasters.
Maybe. For some reason I feel like they are, but
I know what that would be cool is to look at all, like take an image of your buck and then have the 3 different scoring sheets. I wonder if you could do that.
Man, that would be interesting.
Yes, because then okay. If I was to go to a Boone and Crockett score, here's what I get. If I was to go to Pope and Young, here's what I get. If I was to go to Buckmasters, here's what I get.
I think the problem a lot of times though is like you get guys who score a deer and they do it straight. Mm-hmm. And I think some guys in a lot of the scoring systems, they want to promote themselves and they up it a little bit. A, it gets attention. B, when people go and comment and all that and do all the raging that they do in the comment section, all that does is throw them up into the algorithm. So
yeah, I don't know if Buckmasters is recognized on there because
I'm not sure.
Buckmasters does the what they call it, is the lifeline or whatever that they call it.
Mm-hmm.
They look at the veins
that
can come down actually into the beam, and they're like, no, that is the start of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can actually do that with those scanners.
I think that'd be tough, but I don't know. I'll ask Mike, and then I'll also ask Will. Will would be able to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is a super, super exciting thing in my opinion. Now, some people love sitting around with a cloth tape, some string, a pen and paper, and their buddies, and some beers. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing at all wrong with that. What did you want to mention that was not on the list?
Elevate. Elevate has a new stand.
Am I crazy? What are they? Dude, I'm drawing a blank. Help me out.
It was in their booth display. Emery noticed it. Emery was like, hey, is that a new stand? I don't know if it was the Elevate X or Ultra X or something.
I'm texting Josh right now. Dude, I don't know. I literally filmed that damn thing and didn't know that it was new. He never said
I thought that's why you were filming it. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's a new one. I don't know what all they updated. I didn't get a chance to really look at it. I just know that I was next to Emery and he was like, hey, that looks new. And I think they updated a couple things.
Text sent. Wow. Yeah, I don't know that I caught on to that. I feel kind of sheepish now.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Do you want to get on to your favorite things now?
Yeah. Oprah's favorite things over here. Man, how do you pick? So we'll just knock them out. So there's a really, really, really cool bino harness. It's from Striver Gear. I don't know if it's called the Striver Gear bino harness. Did he tell us that it had a different name?
No, I think it actually has.
Because I think that's. Are you sure? Because I don't remember him having like a bunch of products.
He had some in the back of his booth. He had the 2 display ones up front.
Am I incompetent? I'm starting to question myself.
We were very busy talking to a lot of people. I think it has a name. It actually came out last year. You talk about it and I'll look it up because I know it's on his website.
So essentially this bino harness has these little like magnetic clips. So you've got the harness and then you've got like the bino case, the rangefinder case, It's got a sweet ass phone holder in between the harness and then like the bino case, I guess you'd call it. Pouch, we'll call it.
It has a very simple name.
What is it?
It is the quick release bino harness.
All right. So it basically doesn't have a name. It's the quick release bino harness from Striver Gear. But the way that thing pops on and off is like life changing because you get up in your tree, and especially if you're a saddle guy, I'm not like a huge fan of keeping my harness on. I feel weird, sort of constricted, I guess, and like it's going to get in the way. Maybe hinder my maneuverability a little bit. You can literally just like pop it right off and then hang it up on a gear hook, and you have everything right there accessible still. And then you've got like your phone pouch that can go right here. You can run the phone pouch offset and then stick your rangefinder pouch on the other side. I thought it was cool as shit. I mean, for me, it was this, the fast frame, and what we're about to talk about, and like not even close. And what was interesting to me too, by the way, we talked about companies transitioning to the more mobile side of things, but we both kind of looked at each other and were laughing a little bit because you go into ATA, and again, it's way smaller than it used to be. I hate that. I've seen some people on the internet making excuses for that. To me, I don't like that. And I also don't think people should be bashing them and all that. They got going on what they got going on and whatever, right? But what were the busiest, most hopping booths all weekend long? The freaking mobile hunting booths. Period. Wasn't even close. The only booth that I can think of, Trophy Scam should have got more attention, but
I think it was just where they were at.
yeah, they didn't have a good spot in my opinion. But Easton dropped a new arrow.
A couple new arrows.
Which, well, I'm thinking of the one that Zach told us about. Yeah. I'm actually going to invest in them and try them out. But they got quite a bit of attention at ATA. Their booth was going pretty well. Other than that, for the most part, it was all the saddle booths and lightweight tree stands, lightweight sticks, like anything to do with mobile hunting, man. It's here to stay and it's catching on. And I don't say that as like a super biased person. You know, I don't give a shit what kind of gear anybody uses. I want something that helps me kill deer first and foremost. I don't care if they're a sponsor. And one thing you guys will notice is we refuse to just push, a sponsor stuff or, whatever. When people sponsor the shows, we still use everyone's stuff to try it out and kind of make an informed decision. And a lot of that is opinion. It's each user individually likes different stuff. Josh lives to be minimalistic. I don't. People are different, and that's all right. But what I do know is that unless you're crunched for time, it is 100% superior if you can do it quietly to ambush a deer and not give them any idea that they're being hunted. So that's why we like the mobile hunting stuff.
Mm-hmm. And not to interrupt you, but to have
no, you're good.
Companies transitioning to more mobile style. There were multiple. I want to say pretty much all of the crossbow companies are just going small.
Good call. Good call.
I don't really use a crossbow or anything like that, but I know there are a lot of people that do out there. Nothing wrong if you do at all. I know people like to give others that use them a hard time.
Poor crossbow guys.
But it is a legal and ethical means of deer harvest, so I am a supporter of that. But yeah, pretty much all of the major brands were going to basically smaller frames and
tiny
crossbows. Yeah, real I mean, like
Pistols.
small compressed
Yeah.
limbs on them, and I don't. They are. I know some of them are making a push to market towards the mobile guy that's using a saddle, and something that can be easily very promote like maneuverability while you're in the tree or in a saddle. So yeah, that was kind of cool.
Now I can't quit thinking about the little hottie girl we met from Ukraine, the Batista crossbows or whatever the hell it Ballista.
Yes.
Is it Ballista?
It's Ballista.
It's not the wrestler. So we walk up and there's like this cute girl running their booth, and Josh had actually had contact with her about being a part of our shows, and so we talked to her, and I noticed she had a pretty good accent. Everybody sounded sort of like, Eastern European or, whatever. And well, I don't have a filter. So I had to ask him, like, hey, where are you from? And she's like, the Ukraine. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. I'm like, damn, you came here. How long had they been here? Like 5 years or something?
It wasn't long.
It was not long at all. And now they own a crossbow company. I'm like, should I not been born here? Or like, how did you come over here and you just own a crossbow company now?
Yeah. How'd she put it? She's like, yeah, we moved to America and started a very American business.
Check it out. Guns, bows. Let's cross that shit up. Crossbows, bam. There we go. So, last company we're going to talk about is Arsenal. I mean, Scott is a killer. So let's talk about everything else first before we get to the best.
To your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay.
To everyone's favorite. Hunt my hunt.
Hunt Chris's hunt.
Hunt my hunt. All right. Why don't you hit on their new saddles and packs a little bit?
Okay. So, yeah. For anyone that doesn't know Scott is the owner of Hunt Arsenal. He is I believe, the original owner and creator of Hawk when Hawk was good. So he's been in the industry a long time, and I think he's owned other companies. But he designs a lot of the products. He's very good at it. And he came out swinging this year at ATA. Came out with a ton of new stuff, a ton of new products, and he came out. I want to say it was 6 packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 different packs.
That's a lot.
It is 6 different packs for the Whitetail Hunter. We only got to play around with a couple, but there are 6 different ones of various sizes. So you have like your small minimalistic pack all the way up to a very large pack where you can. I mean, it's almost like a 2-day style pack.
Yeah.
No, necessarily like the fast frame or nothing like a Western frame pack, nothing like that. But there was one, I can't remember the name of it, that had plenty of rigidity to it, kept its form. Kind of like if you know Trophy Lines, it's the one that everyone likes.
Palisade.
Yeah, the Palisade pack.
Super stiff.
Yeah, super stiff, keeps its form, really nice to carry like camera equipment and stuff in. So Arsenal has one that's like that now. Lots of pockets that are very well organized and really just made for the whitetail guys. So they got a whole new line of packs. If you're interested in the pack, and they'll probably have one from pretty much everyone. And then their saddles. The one I'm most excited about from them is their new Air saddle.
Yeah.
So it's a very lightweight, small. I shouldn't say small. People are going to get the wrong idea. So it's very lightweight. It can pack well. But I am personally one that likes to walk in with a saddle. I don't like big bulky saddles or ones that don't pack well. That Air saddle does a lot. Like if you were to wear it in, like you probably would hardly notice it.
Yeah.
If you want to put it in your pack, it's something that can pack down real small. And they came out with their new Infinity Bridge, which a lot of the complaints from their other saddles was that webbing they had for the bridge. And Chris and I, we had told Scott, like, yeah, we're not like huge fans of that because you can't move as well.
great for adjustment,
Yes.
but it is not good to roll back and forth in. And that was one of the first things we hit on with the first cloud. The original cloud was, man, the adjustment is there. And I think it's important, but you have to have some form of like rope bridge. You can't do webbed. It's too damn much surface area catching the carabiner.
Yeah. So now they have their Infinity Bridge, which is EM steel ropes, very easy to maneuver in.
And you can still adjust it, right?
Yeah, it still has the same amount of adjustability. So they have different like Bruce mount and stuff in different areas to where you can have quite a bit of probably more adjustment than most. So
yeah,
I would say
I would agree.
So I want to say the price point's like $179, somewhere around there. Very consumer friendly. I think Sky's going to sell a lot.
Yes, especially in the South.
Oh yeah. I told him, I was like, if you come to the show, be sure to bring a lot because we're going to bring a lot of those. His other saddles, so they're everyone likes the Cloud, and what was the new Cloud they came out with last year? The large one.
I can't remember the acronym.
Yeah, but anyway,
like the RLS or RLX, and then pick the other one for this year's.
I think this year's is the RLX.
Yeah, it's a new Cloud.
Yeah,
it's a new Cloud saddle.
That's an updated Cloud. If you can believe it or not, I think they did things to improve the comfortability of their Cloud saddle. A lot of people really like their Cloud because of how comfortable it was. But this one, I think the lumbar support is a little bit more rigid. Still the same amount of adjustability. They have that Infinity Bridge on them. So if you were a fan of the Cloud, and the larger Cloud, I think you would also like their new, I believe it's the RLX.
Yeah. Another thing they came out with that honestly kind of blew our minds a little bit. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but it's not. It was a cam buckle strap with a daisy chain option. So the actual strap is daisy chained. So rather, the thought behind this is rather than having to pull a bunch of excess through the cam buckle strap as you're going around the tree or whatever, you get X amount out so you can get around the tree, and then you literally just pull it kind of tight because you can just hook the loop right onto the Versa button and then pull it tight rather than having to go all the way to the end, if that makes sense. Kind of tough to explain, without having it in front of us. I think we did maybe get some footage of that. If not, we'll have plenty here soon. But the Grand Chahi, if you will, the really cool thing that I think, the coolest thing that they dropped and one of the coolest things we saw all freaking weekend is their new one stick. I'm a pretty big one stick guy. I know some guys aren't. They think it's dumb. That's fine. One sticking is so fun, and it's so minimalistic. It's great for the guy that's going in blind and you walk 2, 3, 4, 6 miles, not in and away from the road, but you're just scouting, and then before you know, it's like turkey hunting. You look at your phone, and you're like, oh, holy shit, I've put some miles on today. We're 5 in, and we're 2.5 from the truck or whatever. I love it. So they came out with a one stick. It's got a ton of amazing features. The new, now I'm going to have a brain fart, of course. The new, what's the freaking thing in the middle of the rope goes through it? I'm the mobile guy. I'm the one. Cam pleat. God bless it. That's the dementia. I'm sundowning. Josh tells me I'm sundowning all the time and I have Alzheimer's or something. But the cam pleat is a new design. It's phenomenal. To me, it's a little quieter than what you get out of a lot of the others. The rope mod packs up so clean. They've got what would you call that? Like a bracket, maybe?
Yeah, like a
tiny little L bracket. Yeah, hooks, little hooks on the back side of the one stick and you just wrap it right up, and it's just the cleanest way to store your rope. The way the platforms are cut, you can't. So I heard a ton of people don't even understand this. I don't know how. Talking to stags and some other people, it's like sort of second nature, but they're worried about hitting their shins on the front of the platform. We just step off onto the side of the platforms with our heels or something, and they'd actually cut into the sides of the platform so your legs could kind of fit in a little more ergonomically, I guess. The bottom platform has some special little hooks on the sides, about probably right around the middle on each side, where you can hang an altimeter or a backwoods mobile gearator, an amp steelator, whatever you want. But it's not hanging out on the front of the platform to where, if anybody's ever done this, it gets you a little too far away from the tree, and you kind of lose some of that friction on the tree and the downward leverage, and you can easily, slip off from one side to the other. What am I missing here on this stick?
It was very.
It's light as hell. I think it's like 2 pounds. It's beyond light. Like you don't know that it's there.
Yeah, I want to say it was something. Greg Staggs did a video on this stick because he kind of Scott, picked his brain quite a bit as far as the design goes, and Staggs had a good bit of input into it, and he used it all last year.
For those of you that maybe live under a rock, if anybody on our channel is, I would assume you know who Greg Staggs is. If you don't, YouTube channel is Staggs in the Wild. He is what we call the godfather of one sticking. We know he's not the first guy to do it, but we believe that it is as big as it is because of his YouTube channel and it, kind of blowing it up a little bit. So if you want to check a video out that should go pretty in depth, I haven't got to sit down and watch it yet.
It goes in depth. It's like 20-something.
Oh, okay. Well, bam. There's your video. We'll do one too, but go check it out. It is, God, it's gorgeous. It's phenomenal.
I want to say Staggs said it was something like 2 pounds less than some of the other long sticks out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Arsenal kind of collaborated with EWO on that, which is cool.
I think that's pretty much primarily where you get to buy it, I think.
Yeah.
Just through EWO or their website.
Yeah. So, with that being said, that is basically not it yet because Josh has something else.
Chris is forgetting things again.
I had a list. You didn't add anything to the list.
They updated their platforms. They have their Elite Series platforms.
Why didn't you tell me to put that on the list, bro? He's sitting here picking me apart in front of you guys. All right.
So last year they came out with their Razor. They came out with like the Razor Magnum, and then was the other one just called the Razor?
Say that again.
Their platform. It was Razor and Razor.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. This is the Razor Elite.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they updated both of the platforms. They're even, believe it or not, they're even more streamlined than they were before. It's something crazy. Like once you fold in the top bracket and the post and all that, I want to say the profile is something like under an inch, like a half inch or something.
It's crazy.
Super small. The smaller of the platforms, that might be like the sub 2.
Yeah.
Because I think it's under 2 pounds. But they kind of updated the edges on the Magnum. I definitely know the Magnum because I was looking at it. They have the angled edge now. And then on the smaller one, they have some cutouts on the backside. So really easy as far as maneuverability around it. Just updated their platforms, essentially made them more streamlined, smaller, lighter, pretty much everything that us quote-unquote mobile people like, and they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I thought their platform was pretty cool, if I'm being super honest. I went straight to that damn one stick and was drooling a little bit. So I get excitable here and there. And then I guess we should probably tell anybody who is going to Indy, through Indy, near Indy. If you're going to ATA next year, we made a post in the Mobile Hunter group and asked everybody's recommendation on where to eat. And there were a bunch of different places that came up. But one place that came up in particular was recommended by Derek, Craig, Greg Staggs, and some other people that are from the area. It was called St. Elmo's. Oh my God. Did not disappoint. I always get nervous when people recommend food because I don't want to have to go back to them and tell them they have shitty taste. But this place, I would say that was a top 3 steak, top 3, 4 steak of my life. I'll go top 3. That was a good. We got the cowboy ribeye. Did you get that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got something.
It was just Jacob because we went to dinner with the gentleman from the Southern Outdoorsman, Andrew and Jacob, and I think Andrew got what we got.
Yeah.
I think Jacob got something different. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What he got?
He got something different.
It was a big ass thick. I don't know what that was.
Like porterhouse.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's what I almost got, but I ended up with the cowboy ribeye. Cherry bourbon Coke was good. Their soup was just okay. The bean soup, I would eat it though, and I don't eat bean soup on purpose. They loaded it with fat.
Yeah,
Bacon fat.
For anyone that is not used to a bean soup, I guess you wouldn't think of anything of it. If you've had bean soup before multiple times, it was a good bean soup.
Yeah, that's good.
The steak was up there. I would definitely put it in my top 3 or 4 as well.
Yeah.
If anyone's from like Cincinnati area and are familiar with like the Jeff Ruby's restaurants, I would say it's of Ruby's quality.
Yeah. I had Ruby. Sad, you're gonna think I'm like some kind of millionaire wannabe or whatever. My wife had a birthday 2 days later. Well, 3 days later, and her sister, they're Irish twins. So we got back from ATA on Thursday. My sister-in-law's birthday is Friday, and my wife's birthday is Saturday. So we went out to a Ruby's restaurant called Carlo and Johnny's the very next day, and that steak did not stack up to that cowboy ribeye. Yeah, I actually couldn't believe it. So it was pretty good.
What happened to my taste buds?
Right? What? We can't let these Indianans be winning the steak battle. But very good place to eat. They're old fashioned. It was strong, but it kind of sucked. It wasn't that good. Ruby's definitely has them on the drinks for sure and the sides. But
look at us. This is the Mobile Hunter food critic.
Yeah, we're the food critics. Get your steak out of here, you idiot. No. But guys, we really appreciate you tuning in to the channel, the podcast, wherever you're listening or watching. We got a lot of cool plans for this year. Obviously, if you haven't seen, we've got 2 shows this year. We're not doing the Pennsylvania or Michigan show this year. We wanted one in our backyard, and we kept the Southern show. So we're doing Dalton, Georgia will be August 8th through 10th. And then Wilmington, Ohio will be August 22nd through 24th. There's going to be a ton of interactive stuff to do. We're going to have all kinds of workshops for you guys to partake in. Going to be a ton of education. And as always, the best gear in the country, hands down. So stop out and check that out if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're thinking, we don't do like Patreon or anything. If you're sitting around one day bored as hell and you want to support us, go leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. That helps support our podcast and be able to maybe make a couple extra dollars and justify to the wife upstairs while I'm down here drinking bourbon with Josh in our office. So,
yeah.
You got anything else?
Pretty much what you said. The shows this year are going to be really good. A lot of the companies and products we mentioned will be at the shows this year. One thing about ATA is, right, you can't purchase those products.
You can't try them out.
Yeah. But at our shows will be some of the first time that some of those products will be available. So you'll be able to try them out, buy them, and all that.
Yeah.
And like Chris said, we're doing the 2 shows this year. Some people have asked, like, just scaling back, what's going on. That is, in fact, the opposite of what we're doing. The two shows we have, the reason we're doing two is because they are larger than anything we've done before. So they're 2 to 3 times larger than previous shows. If we were to keep the shows the same size, like we did last year, as far as from a square footage point, we would have to do 4 shows. We did 3 last year, so that means we would have to do 4 shows to have the equivalent square footage of what we do now for 2025. So the shows are bigger. They will be better. We're adding some really cool things this year. Lots of people that we know, that a lot of our listeners and stuff that know want to kind of collaborate and do some cool things for just, the hunting community. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, we're going to have a good year. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate you supporting the Mobile Hunter Podcast. Have a good one.